give up, don't give up, don't give up, don't give up your day job.
Yes, people. Welcome to Don't Give Up Your Day Job, the podcast dedicated to funny, honest, and sometimes pretty darn deep takes on the different jobs people have had to do in pursuit of their dreams. With me, James.
Me, Joey.
A.K.A.
The Bone Brothers.
The Bone Brothers. It's an emotional one today, Joey boy.
It's like the end of an era for the time being, isn't
It certainly is. The last episode in Series 1 of Don't Give Up Your Day Job. I think it's only fair you do the honours, mate.
Right, well, in honour of Will Armstrong and a few of the other guests who've stopped drinking, I bought a bottle of No Secco, which is new to me, but let's see if it does the business. Oh, it does. Big bag bosh.
Nearly took out the lighting while you're there, mate. Happy days. We've turned a corner through the podcast. Who would have thought it? No Secco. That'll do. Get me drunk.
Well, if it does get you drunk, it's not doing exactly what it says it should do.
It did, you know. I mean, I'm an avid tea drinker. I know you like your soft drinks throughout the pocket. It just seemed like the right time, alcoholic or not, to have a couple of the bubbles.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, do you know what? We've gone into this sort of not knowing how it was going to pan out and what was, how easy it was going to go. But the guys and girls we've had on have made it for me because it's just been, it's just flew, you know what I mean? It's just like gone along nicely. We've not had any sort of glitches. Yeah. Maybe back part of me on Barnet today. But no, it's just like been smooth sailing all the way along. And, you know what I mean? We've had a massive thank you to producer Al.
100%.
Robin and Tom, who's doing our editing, who without them, we wouldn't be here.
We've got a nice little crew, haven't we?
It's a really good team.
I think it's like like all these sort of projects that you put together, just the power of clubbing together, making things happen just off your own back. And you quickly realise like how great people are in general. Yeah. People just want to come on board. Like you say, like a few weeks ago, obviously some of the guests we knew in advance, some not overly well even, but we'd never spoken to people like Liberty before.
No.
It was what a great bit of knowledge.
Lovely lady, lovely girl.
Never spoke to anyone who's done anything like that in terms of working on yachts going around the world. Plenty of the guys we never spoke to before, some we haven't seen in absolute years, just come on. We've just got an array of stories that's just heartening to see what people are doing and the struggles that they have along the way.
And the thing is, when we came up with this idea, obviously we both are on the daily grind. You're working, I'm working. We've had a little taste of TV world and loved every minute of it. And, we just thought we'll have a bash. And it just popped into our heads one day, don't give up your day job. But do you know what? We probably won't be able to. We're not going to be able to. But you can still have fun and push things out your comfort zone and have a go at stuff that maybe you wouldn't have done a few years ago.
100%. Like I think, what that show did, we're both quite active in terms of getting stuff done anyway, but what that show done was just give us a kick up the arse.
Well, it's definitely given us a couple of tuxedos that we've been busting these like every chance we get.
Yeah, we've been dining out on these literally for a good while, wasn't it? Just to pull the curtain down a little bit, we were going to do this episode in our normal clobber, and then we just said, hold on a minute. We've got a set of tuxedos at home that are just raring to go, so it seemed like the perfect time to don them up. But no, it really has been a great experience, and I can't wait for Series 2.
No, I'm looking forward to that. We're in talks at the moment with other guests. Obviously, we'll keep that under our hat until we go out there. But yeah, I'm hoping that it's going to run as smoothly as this one has.
Yeah, definitely. It's you start these things, you enjoy it, and then it's where you can go next. Certainly available for sponsorship money if anyone wants to get in touch. All completely self-funded at the moment. But
let's make sure we're not just pushing out the one man and his dog.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no Secco if you are around. You got them. Let's talk about the guests. I mean, like you say, the guests have made it. We can ramble on as much as we want, but eventually, it's not just about our stories. It's really understanding the different journeys that people have had from the job. Let's go.
We'll start
back
at the start.
Yeah.
Hey? I mean, obviously, first guest we had on was Mike.
Yeah.
He's a funny guy. Listen, we've known him probably over 20 years now.
Yeah.
Obviously, you've seen the episode. You know how we met him. He lived with our sister Becky. And you know what? When we asked him to come on, he didn't hesitate, did he? Like
No.
he's jumped at the chance, and I just love bumping into him again. You know what I mean? It was like I hadn't been away from him for 20 odd years. We slotted straight in. We were chatting. You know, he's a really down to earth guy.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, he's gone back. He works for British Rail now.
Yeah.
You know, he's not gone nuts, but he's in the show, the new Apple show.
Yeah. Dick Turpin.
With Noel. Yeah, the totally made up adventures of Dick Turpin. So, but he's prepared to come and give us his time.
Yeah.
Which, again, to all the guests, a massive, massive thank you. You know, and the stories
Brilliant.
he had. I mean, that one with the balloon,
The Mega Bowl.
the Mega Bowl.
I was just thinking, like,
hilarious.
it's a long way from Mega Bowl to Mighty Boosh, isn't
Yeah.
it? But it's such a fantastic, like, the stories, the work stories are often the best ones from the jobs you've done back in the day.
Yeah.
So when you are on the come up, rather than necessarily being on set and all like the glitz and glamour that goes with that. Like,
But the thing that, you know, the one that stuck in my mind, and I'd sort of heard about it, Becky had told me, is that when he was working in HMV and Zoe Ball like caught him. And
I had
next
no
thing-
idea about that. I genuinely had no idea. So that was when that came up. That was news to me. I thought, fucking hell,
I mean, absolute brilliant. Like your manager's calling you over. Norman Cook's on the phone. I mean, you think someone's pranking you, wouldn't you?
Yeah, someone's ringing you up to get you out of the shift. That you know what I mean.
Fat Boy's on the phone. What out of EastEnders?
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like it's
You're staring at one of his records as you're on the phone. I mean, fair. That's another shout out to Norman Cook for doing that sort of thing. I mean, it's pretty special.
and
Isn't it?
but that is another of what, you know, we're talking about how people have helped us along our way and given us their time. Well, what a thing to do! Like a literally superstar DJ has called him up and said, "Look, do you want to come and support me and open the show for me, like Brighton?" And you know, then he went to Australia and Ibiza.
Do you know what I think that's a sign of? I think one thing you realise about Mike straight away, like he had, you know, you're in the Mighty Boosh, it's the biggest comedy show in Britain at the time. He's never afraid of graft. Like, you know, I wouldn't even say licking your wounds, but obviously the show ain't going to last forever. He didn't write it like his brother. He has to go out and earn a living. And if he's got to go back and you know, work in HMV or whatever he has to do to earn a bit of money, that's what he's got to do. You know, there's no ego about anything, and that pays off as well. That's how. If he hadn't done, if he said, "No, I'm not doing that," he would never have bumped into Zoe Ball. Do you know what I mean?
You know, the old saying goes, you know, one door closes, another one opens, and things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a firm believer in that. If you don't get that job, another one will occur.
Being out there, putting yourself out there.
Exactly. And the bottom line is, as you know, with Mike's situation and pretty much everyone we've had on the podcast, you've got to pay your bills. You've got to pay your mortgage. You've got to put food on the table. And if you're not doing the job you love at that time being, you've got to go back and get your hands dirty as such. You know,
there's a lot of, you know, there's a lot of dignity and integrity in that, and I think, you know, that's what essentially binds the large majority of us together. Everyone's got bills to pay, so no, it was so great catching up with Mike again. Like it was one of those things where you feel like you just saw him last week.
He's a true gentleman and a proper character.
You know, we've planned to catch up very soon again, all of us, which is another reason for doing this sort of thing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just your social circles can get a bit smaller as you get older, but doing this stuff just makes you get out there again. Really good. Catching up with Cy Clare, your old football cohort.
Mate,
Great guy. I know we can talk. Fucking hell. I thought it's brilliant.
I mean, he'd still be here now, Simon, if he could. He'll openly admit he loves talking about himself. It's one of his favourite pastimes.
Yeah.
And but the thing is, I'll sit and listen.
Totally.
And I think everyone will, because he has got a great story. You know, he's stayed in that same industry all his life. He hasn't changed careers, but it's the way that he's worked his way up and navigated his career to how he wants it to be. And I mean, look, he's mixing now. Alan Shearer, you know, all
Brazil,
the guys on Talk Sport.
Ready-made,
you know, Chris Hughes from Love Island, who's, you know, he's gone down a different route from doing the reality show. He's now Channel 4, ITV racing and stuff. And Simon is just an all-round nice guy, you 100%. Know what I mean? And he will, if he can help you out and have a chat, he's a very, very sensible man, but in that line of work, in his passion is horse racing, as he mentioned. And I mean, that is a job, isn't it?
Yeah.
Travelling up and down the country. I mean, it's hard work. But if it's something you enjoy doing, then he's living his best life.
Well, I mean, he's literally doing what you love, which is the goal for all of us, in a way, and making a living, and making a decent living at it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I remember he said at the beginning of the episode, which I kind of took on board a little bit. He was like, "I've always been a bit of a coaster, but I've just got my head down," and I think there's something in that as well. Like, I'm a little bit of a coaster in some ways. Like, I find the stuff that I want to do, a lot I love doing, and I'll just keep at it, but make it work along the way without necessarily putting loads of pressure on yourself and that. And he just seems like someone who's got a really positive mindset. He just cracks on, like you say. He's a really nice guy, and I mean, we could have literally asked him one question and just given him the mic.
Exactly, right. I mean, that's what he's.
Which is exactly what you want on a podcast.
What he does, isn't it? When you see him on Sky Sports, and he's in the Talk Sport studio. Brilliant. He's asked a question and he just run with it.
Yeah, no, he
very, very knowledgeable in his field as well.
Top jaw. Again, there's someone else who, like, long may this podcast continue. It'd be great to get him on again at some point, and hopefully we'll get to wear these again at a racing day or two if he's kind of brilliant.
I mean, sooner or later we're going to have to buy a couple of new ones. You know that. I mean, like, again, massive thank you to 72 Films for letting us have them after the Jamaica episodes. But we might need to sort of branch out a little bit. Yeah, I noticed you've undone the belly button at the bottom of that one, so that right with that. For those who are listening and not watching, good living.
Yeah, too right. So then when we go, well, in no particular order, I thought this was an incredible one, seeing as I used to live with him and I've literally seen his journey going forward. Will Armstrong. Yeah. First time you met him, right? First time I met him was, if I'm honest with you, I was a little bit not apprehensive, but a little bit like, didn't know how it was going to go. You give me a brief little introduction to how he was, and he was a bit of a party animal, and he's totally turned his life around. And sometimes I think, these people, they're gonna preach, they're gonna ram stuff down your throat that, you think, am I going to listen to that? But intriguing man, intriguing guy, really, really like warm and seemed very approachable. Look. Lived a life without a doubt, the story that he told. I mean, I'm 37. I think he's 3 or 4 years younger than me because he was only 21, 22 when we lived together, and he was going AWOL at it. So I mean, but that's that hospitality game. It is like it's lifetimes of 1,000. Do you know what I mean? You're in it all the time, like so. It amazed me how quick, and he's obviously fucking good at what he was doing because he basically propelled himself to top of his game within a couple of years. He said he was very driven. He'd seen how the maitre d's were working in restaurants and was like, I want that. I want to be that. I want that to be me. And he smashed it. But along, running hand in hand with that came the after parties and the lifestyle that it took hold of him. And let's be real, right? Who isn't that going to get a grip of? Unless you are literally, if you're working in a game and you're in your 20s and beyond, and you are someone like most of us who would like a night out, sociable, loves being, you're in and around like famous people and that sort of stuff. It's going to draw you in, isn't it? So it's very easy. Especially at that age, so you're not going to say no to a beer and the rest. You know what I mean? And if you're mixing with the sort of people he was mixing with, A-list celebrities and sports stars and all that, if they say, "Come on, come back to our hotel and we're going to party," you're not going to say no. And it's paying off in your job. Of course, you're not getting sacked. You're going, you're doing really well, and you're thinking like it's feeding every aspect of, I guess, your ego. And he's promoting his brand. That bar, like he said, he was running that bar at the Chiltern Firehouse. It's not going to look great if you're like, at 11 o'clock, the bar manager's turned it in for the night. He's on the no secco. So, I mean, in a way, he might have had an industrial injury, if you like, because he was sort of forced into that. And, at that young age, to turn it down and say, no, I don't know anyone who could. But the thing is, which is, I mean, I don't even know whether he calls himself an addict, because I don't like to put words into people's mouths. So I think he might have even said to me before, it's not even about that for him. He's just like, it's a personal thing that I'm on. I just knew that it weren't for me anymore and that sort of thing. I mean, but he that discipline and that dedication and that like all or nothing attitude that he's got, he's, I know a lot of people that would call themselves an addict who are in recovery now, and it's the same thing. It's like, if you can take that mentality that maybe is leading you down the wrong path, but just have exactly the same drive into something that's really productive and push you on foot, you're almost unstoppable. Do you know what I mean? And I mean, let's be fair, we're sitting in look, our studio's nice. I love it. I love the way we've done it, but
He's on beaches in Bali and Thailand.
It's the
and,
dream, mate.
You know, he's living the dream. He's turned his life around completely. Yeah. He's where he wants to be, not only in his personal life, but in the world.
Yeah.
As you said,
and he's helping people all over the world.
And what a feeling that must be to be able to help, even if you help just one person.
Totally. And no, it was. And I said to him before we caught up, just before the podcast, I caught up in London. I said, mate, you're inspiring to see, because that's what you just want to see people around you doing things. You're like, fucking hell, crack on. No, it's great to catch up with him again, and hopefully,
yeah, he's a good man.
Hopefully, when he does eventually come back for a little holiday, we'll try and get him in.
I mean, I can't imagine him rushing back to the cold climate of the UK.
One thing he ain't is stupid. So
no, exactly.
He'll take his eye on there. And then, of course, we had Sal Montgomery. Oh, what a lovely lady, first and foremost.
Absolutely. She. If I'm honest, out of all the guests, I think she might have, she struck a chord with me the most, because she said 5 foot tall, so she's tiny.
Well, you're 6'3".
Yeah, she's a tiny little lady. She's got a squeaky little voice, and the things that she's doing, she'd put a man to shame.
Yeah.
I mean, she saved a guy's life. And that's one she's mentioned. I'm sure there's been more, because obviously in her work she's a safety instructor.
Yeah.
And she goes out every day and it's carpe diem, man. She is grabbing the bull by the horns and doing exactly what she loves doing and helping others do it. And to be able to turn her passion, and I mean, she's dedicated. She's on the Team GB with the kayaking and stuff. To now turn it into a career. She is one life for me, because she's stated how, I mean, she could not speak enough about the kayaking. She would still be going on today, wouldn't she? And I said it in the podcast, I'm hanging on every word what you're saying here, because, and I'm intrigued. I love a little bit of adventure, but sometimes I'm a little bit apprehensive, and as I've got older, I can't do that. I don't. I've got to go work. I've got to be sensible.
Well, once we climb that mountain, we were like, we'll have a. It was great, but we'll have a breather after.
Yeah, exactly. But every day she gets up and she goes out and smashes it. And good luck to her. Yeah, I love that episode. That really, really done it for me.
Such a lovely. I mean, listen, she who dares wins.
Yeah,
at the end of the day. One of the things that really struck me about Sal, like you said, true of all the guests, obviously, because that's what we're here for, but. She said it herself, the dedication to doing something that you're truly passionate about. And first and foremost, just let that passion take centre hold. For years, she was funding her own kayaking trips. She was she was literally, bless her, working on 0 hours contracts in the NHS, getting money to go away. She weren't thinking, I want to save for an house or anything like that. From what I can gather, her sole dedication was to do things that took her out of her comfort zone. Yeah. Or put her in her comfort zone, these mad adventures.
Yeah, well, that's where she seemed comfortable sitting in a kayak in white water.
Going to far-flung places on earth that not many people do. And out of that, by pursuing her sheer passion, even though she never even owned a TV or anything like that, it's come full circle. Yeah. And now look at her. She
don't even own a TV now, does she? But why would you if you're out every day doing that?
Yeah, her passion is being out in nature. But she never even had any inkling about getting a job in a career in TV. No. She never knew it was a possibility, and it's just come because she's pursued her passion. And God bless her, man. It was so lovely to speak to her. We never met her on Road to a Million, but it was another great link to the show, because shout out all the health and safety people that helped us. They were.
I mean, that is a job as well. The way that those guys, the dedication they put in, the hours they put in. But when you watch them work, you can tell that they're loving it. Yeah. They get up every morning and they are fucking smashing it, mate. They love it. And listen, as I said a minute ago, you've won at life if that's how you can feel about your job. Getting paid to do something that you love doing.
Listen, when we were on that show and having seen all the different entities that everything's involved in making a TV show, I must say there's so many opportunities for people doing all different types of jobs to actually get in that industry. You can make a living for yourself. And it was incredible seeing all of the different occupations on there. But seeing those health and safety guys and that I really like that. It's a fucking awesome job.
Oh, mate.
You like being out, you're mountaineering or whatever like that.
Every day's an adventure, isn't it? And I mean, a lot of this podcast, I've sort of thought, we're all kids at heart.
100%.
You know what I mean? And these people are living their dream.
It's the. Do you know what?
Brilliant.
It's when you're not doing things in life that you really want to do that you start to feel like a bit of an adult, if you know what I mean. Like you start to feel like, oh, I'm on the grind and I've got to, like, you know, pay the bills and that, which is obviously what everyone's got to do. But by actually just doing things that you enjoy, that's what life's meant to be about. It's not a crime to actually say, oh, I want to get up, I want to go to work, I want to do something that fucking makes me laugh, hang around with people like that I could have the crack with. That's what it's about, man. No, it was great to speak to Sal. And then, of course, we had Alexandra Haddo on. Brilliant. Great to have a comedian on who's actually made it. Like, she was great, man.
And she, you know, you can imagine, I mean, you've done a little bit, as you've mentioned, but to me, that would be quite a lonely career. Like, you're on stage, you're on your own. If it goes wrong, it's only you. And I mean, as I said, I don't think I've got the fuck. I feel like I'm a pretty confident guy, but to get up in front of hundreds of people, and if you die out there, you're fucked.
Well,
man.
I can testify to that. I mean, literally, you know, you and I are similar personality-wise in terms of, you know, both relatively confident, both, you know, can make people laugh within our own circles and stuff like that. No, when you do comedy, I had a few shows, I have, you know, a number of shows where it goes well, and I'm talking like 10-minute slots and stuff like that. But when you bomb hard, there is no escaping it.
Like I said,
you've got to walk. Not only that, when you come up, you've got to walk back out and see all those people that you've bombed in front of. So I have so much respect for actual real comedians who are doing it, like Alex, who are out there grafting, because it is a craft. It takes years to get better and better. And a lot of people say you're the best comedian you can be when you're in your 50s or your 60s, because it's just you've
gained all that
always learning.
experience.
So,
but you know, and again, she was testament to people that, as we've mentioned, she said she'd done a couple of weeks freelance work. You know, if something propped up, a little contract for a week or so, and she keeps her hand in and it gets a bit of extra money, keeps to pay the bills. She's not proud. I mean, she's selling out Edinburgh Fringe.
Yeah, brilliant.
She's selling out, you know, other venues in and around London.
With, you know, the Frankie Boyles, Bill Baileys of this world. I mean, they're like the biggest comedians
you
in
can
Britain.
sit back and think, I've made it. You know, I don't need to do this. But she's not. You know, she's got a Amnesty,
Indie Amnesty,
DJ night that she does with Joey, like her guy, her fella. They're grafting. You know, they're not stopping. And to me, that is what.
That's what gets you over the
about.
line, like, honestly. And also, I think particularly, well, 2 points. If you're a performer and a writer, that other side of stuff gives you structure. Do you know what I mean? It gives you a foundation to build from where, like, you know, you can get up, whether it's now and again or whether it's all the time, it gives you a reason to get up and crack on with someone else.
Every day that she's out and doing other things, she's getting material. And you can see, like, I'm watching her, and her mind is constantly working. Like, well, I can make a joke from this. I've got a scenario here, like this, and that is surely what comedy is. So it's a dream working in these other industries, because things go fucking wrong and it's funny.
And I think it's a good point for, like, any sort of young or even older, like, people that want to do something in the arts or creatives and stuff. Like, Alex is doing really well as a comedian, but like you say, she'll go back and do a couple of weeks graft in her old industry and that to get things over. So, like, never lose sight of that, you know what I mean? Going back to having to earn a living, it's vital. You know what I mean? No, it's really, really good to catch up with Alex. I met her once before, but only briefly, so it was nice to have that chat. Liberty Noguera, someone we never met. We got put in touch through a mutual contact from Road to a Million, Lily. Again, fantastic. The yachts. I know we touched on her already, but just going to Antarctica, like.
I mean, Antarctica's a bit fucking cold for me, if I'm honest with you.
We've been out for a while. Me and Delphine recently watched Ben Fogle going down to that. I mean, it is fucking brutal.
When she said she was, like, on the Turkish Riviera and floating around the Med.
Bit more you.
That's a little bit more me. Do you know what I mean? Like, glass of, hopefully, Prosecco this time, laying on that yacht. I mean, mate,
if we can pull in a couple of sponsors, maybe the yacht's calling, do you know what I mean?
But I mean, that was good. And she, you know, she was driven. She was working in HR in the city, and just knew at 26, I think she said she was, it wasn't for her. You know, she wanted something else out of life, took a gamble, and it's paid off. You know, she's met her husband. She's
great story, isn't it?
You know, had a life at sea, stayed in luxury, stayed in, like, hard times, like, you know, the Antarctica stuff and all that. Obviously, really, really hard work and physical work. but the stories that you can tell, when you have children and the stories that you'll be able to say to people.
Well,
wow.
I think she worked on them for 6 years. Within those 5 to 6 years, you've got a lifetime of adventure. More than what most of us will ever see. Like, no, it was incredible to see. And again, she said she's had a great time on the yacht. She'll always sort of keep her toes dipped in there where required. But now she's thinking about the next step for her. She wants to be a bit more on land. She's thinking about setting up a course to help people that want to work on the yacht.
Yeah.
So people are always thinking about what's next and getting inspiration from what they're doing, knowing that there's another part of the journey.
And I think everyone we've had on here, they're always thinking. Well, what's next? What am I settling for what I've got now, or am I gonna try something else? Is it the knowledge that I've gained over the years and the experience I've got? Can I put that to use somewhere else? And if you're going to succeed and professionally and even like emotionally, if you can take what you've learned and expand it and push out there and meet new people and try new things, listen, one day something's going to click you are going to smash it.
And you don't always, I certainly did. You don't always realise that when you are a bit younger. Like,
no.
It's sort of in the here and now and fucking hell, I'm not where I want to be. What am I doing with my life and all that? But realistically, it's just a part of the journey. Like, and you just keep pushing on.
It's never too late. No. I mean, I'm 44 years old. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've been
just getting started.
Well, yeah, that's what I am. Yeah. You know what I mean? If this leads somewhere, then brilliant. If it don't, I've had a good time doing it. Yeah. And I've met, 8 more people that I'd never met before.
100% now. It's top draw. Josh Sivaraja.
Yeah, what a lad.
A lad. How great was that to just reconnect with him in person again this time?
Another one that, if we kept the mic rolling and the camera rolling, he'd still be here now, wouldn't he? He could chat for England, that guy.
Quality, like so funny. I mean, it's hard to put into words that day that we had all together where, it was meant to be a casual drive back to Glasgow Airport or wherever it was, and it turned into like a 36-hour tour of the Highlands of Scotland, essentially.
Stayed in his hotel and, to me, he really has had a life. Like he said, his upbringing with his dad wasn't great, and
fair play to him because he come on, and he said like I want to come on and talk about that. And mate, when this table is open, like people talk about whatever they want, really. Do you know what I mean? So,
but he's constantly turning negatives into positives. Like he's and something that rung a bell with me. Like he's a businessman. He as he'd already said, he's ADHD, dyslexic. At school was told you can't do this, you can't do that. But now he's. I don't think he knows the word no.
Yeah.
Everything's yes. I'll have a go at it, and if I fail, I fail. But at least I've tried. And
what was that thing that he said? He said when we were talking about the ADHD at school, and it was like, what teachers could have said was, your son's got ADHD, but you're raising an entrepreneur.
Exactly.
And it's true, isn't it?
And that is what he is. He's turned everything he's touched.
The cheese board story. He paid for his new motor.
Everything he's touching and has touched seems to have gone really, really well. And hats off to him for that. You know what I mean?
I mean, Josh is the prime example, as many of the guests are. Like, you're going to take a lot of knocks along the way, but that's what you learn from.
To me, people that succeed in life, They have had knockbacks and things that have fucked up, but it's how you pick yourself up and how you've learned from the mistakes. Like, there's no way in the world that someone's going to go out there and smash it first time and that's it, that's them done. You need to be able. It's all about experience. Like 100%. A boxer would tell you, like every match he's won or title he's won, he's been knocked out a few times. Do you know what I mean? Like it's learning from your mistakes, and whether it be professional or like personal life, listen, you make mistakes, but everyone's entitled to a second chance. So give yourself that second chance or that third chance. Like when I was driving a cab, when I first got out, and it like Uber come in and it fucking destroyed the game, And I was in a bit of debt at the time. Cara was going to be born. Hayley was like, what we're going to do? Like, I'm out working 18 hours a day, earning the same money I was earning in an 8-hour shift. And my old call over partner, shout out was like, look, the only way that you're going to make money in life is just keep going. And eventually something will just give, something will just drop in. Just keep grafting, keep doing what you're doing. Keep your nut down. And mate, I mean, Wal was like my mentor. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I love him to pieces. He literally was like, look, and he'd had a few businesses. Some have worked, some haven't. You know, his modelling career never paid off. Like, he'd be the first one to tell you that.
Mate, in 2024, there's always a modelling job for you, Wolf. Don't worry about
But
that.
yeah, he, you know, lovely guy, love him to pieces, and you know, he was a little bit older than me, but his advice was, look, what you're going to do, sit on your arse and worry about things, get up in the morning, go to work,
Money in the bank.
earn what you can earn, and eventually something will click. And touch wood, I'd like to think that at the moment, yeah, things are going pretty decent.
Yeah, I mean that 150 grand certainly. Yeah.
Nice
But that,
touch.
you know, if you believe these things as you do, I think that comes around for a reason as well.
Yeah.
As the great Rocky Balboa said, it ain't how hard you get knocked down, it's how many times you get back up. Myself.
Exactly.
I've got to say, like, even speaking to Alex, and I've touched upon my horrendously failed comedy career in the podcast a few times, and like the Edinburgh Fringe story where, like, you know, I literally cleared out an entire room 4 nights in a row. I mean, it was fucking...
That scarred you for life, didn't it?
It was at the time, it was horrendous. Like, you can imagine, it was like, what am I doing? But I knew in hindsight, like, I deserved it. I hadn't put the work in to do a show.
Yeah.
I weren't putting, and it was actually the culmination of a few years, really, where I'd been fucking around. Like, no real like structure, no real direction, not half in, half out. Do you know what I mean? And I knew it. I knew it was kind of coming up to that point. So it would be very easy for me at that point to go, oh, fucking hell, they don't get it, or something like that. But I just knew, do you know what? That's it. And it kind of came at exactly the right point in my life, because I knew I had to make changes, you know?
Anything like in a professional capacity that you're going to go at, whether it be like entertainment or sports, you know, if you're some people with athlete, these guys that are top of their game, like Anthony and Gogo, who we've had on, who we'll chat about in a minute, they have dedicated their life to training, you know, fitness. Like a comedian will be constantly writing jokes. It's a fucking hard graft,
100%.
mate, and you will not succeed if you're going in half measure.
No, totally. And if, you know, not only half measure, but if you're not clear about what you want in life. Like, I weren't really that bothered about doing...
But you were young, you know,
yeah,
it's
totally,
different.
100%. But what it did do for me is it made me realise, like, you know, I've got to get money coming in the back. I've got to get my head down and start just becoming a bit more adult and a bit more independent. And since that time, over the last few years since then, I've done that, and everything else has come with it. I've started putting music out. It's going really well. Yeah. Obviously, we've done the show, loads of other bits, bought a flat, blah, 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 great girlfriend. All of these sort of things come, I think, just from...
Sorry, did you say you bought a girlfriend?
No, that was back in the day. That was before the car. No, just you know, I'm such a firm believer in you've got to fall flat on your arse a few times to know that it's a slow build back up.
And there's nothing wrong with that at all. But at the time, you think, oh, fuck me, like, what, you know, what's happened? But, mate, own that.
100%.
Own that, what's happened there. Pick yourself up and start again.
I think I wouldn't change that sort of thing for the world. I think that's what everybody that we've had on a guest and the ones we'll have on in the future will be the same story. Like, everyone's got to have fallen on their arse to know where they're at.
This is what I'm trying to sort of say to my girls, like Cara and Hattie, that, you know, listen, you're young. Try something. If you don't like it, at least you've tried it. I mean, it might just be a plate of vegetables, but you're not going to know if you like it or not until you try it. Yeah.
And it turns out they ate them. So sausage and chips.
You got it.
Yeah, no, it's such a show. I've got to say, Anthony Agogo, like, as huge boxing fans that we are, I knew Anthony. I used to watch him on the TV, watch him fighting. Those, you know, the really, really talented amateur boxer came through, was touted as, quite rightly, the next big thing. Horrendous injury, which is heartbreaking for someone who wants to be a you know, it's not just someone who's going down the gym and hitting the pads, you know, had the makings to potentially be a world champion.
Yeah.
And weren't allowed to fight anymore legally.
And having that taken away from you through no fault of your own, you know, that is a kick in the bollocks.
Believe me, boxers would be in the ring if they could be, you know what I mean? But it's legally weren't allowed to do it. But dusting himself off, found himself with a wrestling career. But the company he's fighting for are second to WWE in the world, and now he's just set up his fitness app, which is flying already.
And
so
it's all about dedication with that guy. You know, he sets a goal, and he fucking don't stop until he's got there.
You can't look at people like this and not feel anything other than
admiration.
admiration and inspiration for what you do. There's no excuse if you want to do something for like you've got to crack on with it. Like, you know what I mean?
But on the flip side of that, like, look, not everyone's able to be a professional athlete, and not everyone's going to achieve that. But if you, in your personal life, if you think, do you know what, I've given that my best shot. I've had a go at that, and I'm fucking happy with how it's come out. Then that is like winning a gold medal to me.
But that's what I'm saying. It's not, it's not about being a goal. If you want to paint a fence, if you want to build yourself a shed, if that's a goal of yours,
if you finish that in a weekend, I mean, knowing you, it might take you.
If you do, give me your number.
Yeah.
First, I've got to get a garden, but then,
after your IKEA like works, surely you can put a flat pack together.
Yeah, no, it was those jobs that I did back in the day. I was like, couple of labouring jobs with mutual friends that we know.
When you fell in the skip, pushing the wheelbarrow up the ramp.
That was the moment. Do you know what? It didn't fall in the skip. It was a pissing down day with rain. Working for our dads, mate. Sort of in between college and thinking about going to university and stuff. Pissing down with rain. I had a wheelbarrow full of crap that I had to roll up this ramp. The fucking wooden beams broke as I was halfway up. I just literally stacked it and the wheelbarrow just fell on me. I went home that night and did my university application and I've never looked back since.
But it's taken something like that to kick you into shape and say, right, do you know what? That ain't for me.
Absolutely right.
That ain't for me.
Know what is and know what ain't for you. But it's been such an honour to chat to all these people. Like, obviously we're back to the grind in the meantime, but we got our eyes on the prize.
I'm really, really looking forward to that.
We got our eyes on the prize for Series 2. But I think, given the nature of what the podcast is and us supporting all other people's journeys and what jobs people are doing, it's only fair we give a shout out to a couple of local businesses that have helped us out.
Well, you know, I mentioned him before a couple of episodes ago. Jordan Williams is starting his own gym up now, Company X. He's got a new premises. It's not only just about fitness, it's about well-being, all-round, like, life choices. He's, got yoga teachers down there. He's got a sports injury therapist. He's so passionate about his work, like, I met him through, he's one of the school dads, like his little girl is friends with my little girl, Hattie. But I mean, he's a specimen, this guy. He's 6'5". Again, he had a knockback. He wanted to be a pro basketball player. He destroyed his knee, was told, he wouldn't make it. He could have sat on his arse. He could have, he said, like, he could have gone down the wrong path in his life.
Easy.
But he's put his thing, and mate, I mean, Look, I wasn't in the best of shape. The thing was when we went to the media day at Freund's, just before we were going to the premiere, and they run us back on the VT, and I was like, I need to lose some weight, mate.
I've never seen a guy sweat so much after watching back his little media training day.
Well, you will sweat if you're like 16 stone, and like.
I think we had 5 weeks until the premiere, and his phone was off the radar for that whole period.
Mate, I knocked the booze on the head. It was like a thing, and I've got in touch with him straight away. And he was like, yeah, no problem, come down. And I'll be honest with you, I've changed. I'm up early in the morning, I'm training, I've got myself.
You lost a good bit of weight.
I lost nearly 2 stone.
Yeah, that's good. And it shows, like, you had a goal.
Yeah.
And there ain't nothing, listen, always a bit, what's wrong with, that's our point. You see, you've got an event ahead of you, you see that you want to make a change, it's a kick up the arse. Like,
and that's what I needed. And he did, he really sort of helped me, and good luck to him with his new business.
And while you're doing that, you're seeing the changes, which is only having a positive impact, you're like, well, fucking hell, I'm going to keep it. That mean don't mean you're never going to have a beer, but.
Of course not.
You've got a balance going on in your life. That's the name of the game for sure. We've got to give a shout out to Megan Ross.
Megan Ross, yeah. I mean, there's evidence there. She's done your hair just for this show.
Shout out Megan. I've got to say, one of the things as I approached the grand old age of the mid to late 30s, I noticed a couple of grey hairs lately, which is not a possibility in my world. So I gave Megan a shout, who's an incredible hairdresser, colourist in her own
Hair
right.
by Megan is her company.
Brilliant. She came down. She does both of our hair.
Yeah.
Yours needs a bit of a trim at the minute, but great work. Really appreciate you making us look half decent.
Yeah,
on camera.
and I mean, to be honest with you, let's be fair, she likes a night out, Megan, but she is a grafter. She is a grafter friend of mine. I mean, she's Hayley, like my wife's younger sister. And from the minute I met her, she used to work in her auntie's salon. She's worked in other salons.
Yeah, like 14, 15.
Yeah, and she was like, I want to have my own place. and she's got her own place, and she's fucking fully booked, mate. She is up to the rafters, and she does a great job. She will travel. She does wedding shows. She does weddings.
Yeah. She goes abroad, doesn't she?
goes-
She go to Ibiza.
Yeah, honestly, she has. I'll take my hat off to her. She really does put her heart and soul into her own business and grafts, mate, and pat on the back to
And
her.
the reason we're saying this is because it's inspiration for us as well, but it's proof that some people, you know, we've had people on that are well known around the country on TV, and we've got other people like we just mentioned there who are working at a local level in small business. But one thing they've all got in common is they're doing something that
They love doing.
they're good at. They wake up each day, even on a hard day, with a relative smile on their face, knowing that they're going around
And they've
cracking
got
on.
massive drive to succeed in their industry.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, fucking good luck to them.
Listen, we have had an absolute blast on Series 1 of Don't Give Up the Day Job. Series 2 is in the making. We are currently speaking to some great guests that we're hoping to get lined up. It's going to be a real pleasure to have them on board. And bruv, I've just got to say, it's been a real pleasure to do it once again.
Yeah, lovely chatting to you again.
Look, road to 1 million, it didn't have to stop there, did it?
No, and hopefully it won't.
No, too right. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute honour. Remember to like, comment and subscribe. So Don't Give Up Your Day Job with the Bone Brothers. Peace out.
See you later, guys.
Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. Your day job.